This is just a common spruce tree, which can be found almost anywhere in America. On a spruce tree, you see all these blisters. You might wonder, what the heck are those? But if you cut the blisters off the tree, you'll see that they're little pockets of spruce resin. This stuff actually has a lot of uses, including waterproofing, fire starting, etc. But one of the really cool uses is if you just take a little bit of this and you have a cut or a hangnail or something, and then just put it on there. It acts as an antiseptic. It keeps dirt out. It helps stop bleeding if it's a really bad cut. It's a natural antiseptic, so it sterilizes everything and keeps everything out. So yeah, pretty cool. This is a Douglas fir tree. And if you look closer at almost any kind of tree that has been damaged, you might find a substance on it. It's sticky, or it's brittle and hard, or it's just super runny. You never know what you're gonna find. Now, on certain kinds of trees, including birch and almost any kind of conifer, if you look closely, you'll see these hard nodules of that resin. And what the native people would do is they'd break these off and they would chew on them. And then once that moistens up and gets soft, it turns into a type of chewing gum. And this dates back almost 5,000 years. Obviously, our gum has come a long way since us getting it off a tree, so it doesn't taste the best. Chewing on this stuff does have benefits. It's proven to help you focus, feel more energized. It's also a significant source of vitamin C. So yeah, pretty cool. This is pineapple weed, one of my favorite wild edibles. It's called pineapple weed for its pineapple-shaped flowers that smell exactly like pineapple if you crush them and smell them. You'll often find this in gravel driveways or just driveways in between the cracks of the concrete. You can just pick the tops and eat them. Tastes like pineapple, just not as sweet. You can also make a sun tea out of all these. So if you just gather up a good handful of them, leave them in the sun and water for about a day, and it turns into a really good tea that tastes exactly like pineapple. Make sure to wash them before you use them in any tea you're cooking. So yeah, pretty cool. This is red dogwood or red willow. The reason why it's so cool is because it has a chemical called salicylic acid in it, which is basically the same thing as aspirin. And if you just take bark on this thing and strip it off, 1 ounce of this stuff is equivalent to half a baby aspirin. So if you take 2 ounces of this and boil it in tea or make a tincture out of it, which is basically putting it in high-proof alcohol, it has the same amount of painkiller as a full baby aspirin. Pretty cool. This is wild dandelion, one of the most overlooked and greatest wild edibles there is. It can be found in almost any backyard or wooded area. It pretty much grows anywhere. If you're going to harvest it, make sure you do it in an area that you know isn't sprayed and doesn't have dogs peeing all over it. That's the two most important things. From the flower, the stem, and the leaves is edible on this plant. And there's so many different uses for different parts of this plant. Use the tops in jams and jellies, and people even make wine out of the tops. People pickle the immature ones. Stems can be fried and put into stir fry for a good bitter flavor. You can fry the leaves up and make collard greens, but they also make a really good addition to any fresh salad. If you dig up the roots, dry them out and roast them, you can make a coffee substitute. So many different uses that I didn't even mention in this, but it's just overlooked, and people should be looking at this more and eating it. Pretty cool. This is a thistle, and a lot of people don't know that some parts of this plant are actually edible. To get to the edible part, take your knife and start chopping off leaves. Once you have most of the leaves around it cut off, you can cut off the top. Then go down the stalk with your knife and cut off every little pointy bit. Once you can grab it without being poked, you can grab it and take the rest of the needles off. Then you're left with the bare inner stalk that tastes like a mild celery. So yeah, pretty cool. This is Usnea. It's a lichen that you'll find growing on most dead tree limbs or dead trees. Usnea is not a plant or a fungus. It does use spores to produce though, but in its own little family. Usnea is also called old man's beard for its almost gray color and bushy texture. A lot of times, growing alongside Usnea is its brighter green cousin called wolf lichen, and it's actually mildly toxic. So you can identify it. It's a little less bushy, and it's bright green. One really cool thing about this is that if you chew it up in your mouth and then spit it out, you have a natural blood coagulant and antiseptic. So it's great for minor to major cuts that you might have up in the woods. Pretty cool. This is an example of a great place to find wild edibles. When looking for wild edibles, you want to look for lush green areas with water and places that have been disturbed by wildlife or cattle. It should have a partial canopy cover and some open sky. A good way of knowing this is a balanced ecosystem with good air quality is all the lichens on the dead trees. You'll see them just on the dead branches in shaded areas. Another good indicator is there's still little plant life that's coming up even in the later seasons of the year. If you follow all these steps, you're bound to find something cool. This is yarrow. I've talked about it and a few uses for it on my channel a few times, but I'm going to show you another cool way you can use it. If you just pick about a handful of it and just throw it on little fires around your camp, it smolders and the smoke acts as a natural mosquito repellent. So yeah, pretty cool. This is just common chickweed. You can find it growing in wet areas along the forest floor. You can just eat it straight. It's super tender and soft and has a good sweet flavor to it. This is one of the best tasting wild edibles. It has a taste and texture that's very similar to spinach. So yeah, pretty cool. Like and subscribe for more plant content.